The leaky faucet and a helping hand. The community board outside the post office was a riot of flyers, lost cats, ukulele lessons, a bake sale for the volunteer fire department. Maya scanned it, her fingers tracing the edges of a particularly garish poster advertising a psychic medium. She needed something more concrete than a glimpse into her non-existent future. She needed cash. Tuition wasn't going to pay itself. Then she saw it, tacked precariously to the bottom right corner. Handyman needed minor repairs. Call Mr. Mike Thompson. Below, in a script so elegant it seemed out of place on the crumpled paper, was a phone number. Minor repairs, Maya mused. She could handle minor repairs. Her dad had taught her more than a thing or two about plumbing before before. Taking a chance, she pulled out her phone and dialed. The call connected, ringing twice before a warm, slightly gravelly voice answered. Thompson residence. Hi, Mr. Thompson. My name is Maya Rodriguez. I saw your ad on the community board. Ah, yes, the handyman ad. Please call me Mike. What can you do? Well, I'm pretty handy, Maya said, a nervous laugh escaping her lips. I've done some plumbing, electrical, basic carpentry. What exactly are you needing help with? It's just a leaky faucet, really. Drip, drip, dripping, driving me mad. And I have a terrible back, can't get under the sink myself anymore. I'd be eternally grateful if you could take a look at it. Eternally grateful. Seemed a bit dramatic for a leaky faucet. But Maya wasn't one to look a gift horse in the mouth, or a leaky faucet in the pipe. I could come by this afternoon, if that works for you. That would be absolutely wonderful, Maya. What a lifesaver. I am at 42 Oak Street. 42 Oak Street. That was just a few blocks away. Great. See you then, Mike. Maya hung up, a sliver of apprehension twinging in her stomach. She was good at this stuff, really. But what if it wasn't just a simple washer? What if she had to call a real plumber and admit defeat? She shook her head, banishing the thought. Negative thinking wouldn't fix any plumbing. Back at her apartment, she gathered her tools, pipe wrench, adjustable wrench, plumber's tape, a collection of assorted washers. Her tool bag, inherited from her dad, felt reassuringly heavy on her shoulder. It was a tangible link to his knowledge, his skill, his presence. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows as she walked down Oak Street. Number 42 was a charming little bungalow, with a porch swing, and a riot of colorful flowers spilling out of window boxes. A gnome stood guard by the front door, its painted smile slightly chipped. It was the kind of house that felt lived in, loved in. Taking a deep breath, Maya walked up to the door and rang the bell. The chimes inside sounded old-fashioned and melodic. The door opened and there he was. Mike Thompson. He was taller than she'd imagined, with kind eyes crinkled at the corners, and a dusting of silver in his neatly trimmed hair. He wore a comfortable-looking sweater and jeans, and he radiated an aura of quiet intelligence. Maya. Come in, he said, his voice warm and welcoming. I'm so glad you could make it. He stepped back, gesturing for her to enter. The offending faucet awaits. Books and bubbles. The scent of old paper and something vaguely spicy hit Maya as Mr. Mike swung open the door. It wasn't musty, just lived in. The house wasn't what she expected. From the outside, it looked like any other suburban dwelling, but inside, books lined every wall, stacked haphazardly yet somehow organized. Small trinkets, clearly souvenirs, cluttered shelves between the overflowing bookshelves, a carved wooden elephant from what she guessed was Thailand, a tiny, brightly painted skull from Mexico, and a tarnished brass compass. Sorry about the mess, Mr. Mike said, gesturing vaguely with a hand. I'm more of a collector than a curator. Maya smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. It's cozy. A word she hadn't used to describe anything in years. He led her to the kitchen, where the leaky faucet dripped a steady rhythm into the stainless steel sink. The culprit, he said, with a sigh. Plumbing isn't my forte. Storytelling, on the other hand. He trailed off, a twinkle in his eye. As Maya rummaged through her toolbox, Mr. Mike settled onto a stool near the counter. You know, he began, his voice taking on a different timbre, that compass over there. It belonged to a rather eccentric explorer I met in Nepal. He claimed it always pointed towards adventure, not necessarily north. Maya chuckled, tightening a wrench. Did it? He certainly thought so. He used it to navigate the Himalayas, convinced he'd find a lost city made of gold. Mr. Mike's hands moved as he spoke, sketching the man's supposed route in the air. He digressed into a tale of yak butter tea and treacherous mountain passes. Maya found herself listening intently, her hands moving almost automatically as she replaced washers and tightened connections. She was usually so focused on the task at hand, so wound up with the need to get things done, but Mr. Mike's voice, the cadence of his storytelling, was strangely soothing. It was like being wrapped in a warm blanket on a cold day. He segued into another story, this one about the skull, a Day of the Dead trinket he'd picked up in Oaxaca. He described the vibrant colors, the intoxicating smells of the market, the music that pulsed through the streets. It's a celebration of life, he said, his voice softening. A reminder that even in death there's beauty. The sink stopped dripping. A perfect, satisfying silence filled the kitchen, punctuated only by the faint hum of the refrigerator. Maya wiped her hands on a rag, surprised to find she'd finished the job without really noticing. All done, she announced, a little breathless. Mr. Mike blinked as if startled out of a trance. Amazing. You're a lifesaver, Maya. He studied her for a moment, his gaze lingering a beat too long. You know, he said, a touch of hesitancy in his voice, I have some sparkling cider in the fridge. A small celebration for a job well done. Maya hesitated. Sparkling cider sounded nice. A normal, pleasant thing. Something she hadn't allowed herself in a long time. The air in the book-filled house felt different, lighter. For the first time in what felt like forever, the knot in her stomach had loosened. Okay, she said, surprising herself with her own willingness. Books and bubbles it is. An unexpected splash. The wrench slipped. Maya readjusted her grip, knuckles white against the cool metal. Almost got it, Mr. Thompson. Just a little more. A sharp crack echoed from beneath the sink, followed by a sound like a startled gasp. Then, a geyser erupted. Cold water blasted upwards, soaking Maya from the neck down in an instant. She yelped, scrambling back, her glasses immediately fogging. Mr. Thompson sputtered, caught in the unexpected deluge. Water streamed down his face, plastering his thinning hair to his scalp. He blinked, looking utterly bewildered for a split second before a rumble started deep in his chest. He burst out laughing, a surprisingly hearty sound that filled the small kitchen. Maya, still dripping, couldn't help but laugh too. It was absurd, the suddenness, the sheer volume of water. I think I might have made it worse, she managed between gasps, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Mr. Thompson chuckled, grabbing a handful of paper towels. Worse, perhaps wetter. Don't worry, Maya, it happens. To the best of us, even those wielding wrenches. Though perhaps with less explosive results. He dabbed at his face, then offered her the roll. Thanks, she said, accepting the towels and trying to salvage her soaked t-shirt. The cold water was starting to seep into her bones. Let's get this mess cleaned up, Mr. Thompson said, his voice now calm and practical. He disappeared into the hallway and returned with a bucket and mop. You focus on drying off. I'll handle the worst of it. While he mopped, Maya wrung out her hair over the sink, creating a small puddle that she quickly wiped up. I really am sorry, she said, feeling a flush creep up her neck, partly from the cold, partly from embarrassment. Nonsense, Mr. Thompson said, not looking up from his task. It's just a pipe. These old houses, they have their quirks. Besides, he added, finally meeting her gaze, a small smile playing on his lips, it certainly made this afternoon more memorable. He finished mopping and leaned the mop against the wall. The air hung thick with the scent of wet plaster and something faintly metallic. He grabbed a clean towel from a drawer and offered it to Maya. "Here, dry your hair properly." She took the towel, their fingers brushing for a fleeting moment. A jolt, like static electricity, shot up her arm. She looked up at him, and for a moment, the laughter faded, replaced by a different kind of awareness. His eyes, usually crinkled in amusement, were serious, almost intense. He held her gaze for a beat too long, and then, just as quickly, he blinked and stepped back. "Right," he said, clearing his throat. "Let's get you something warm to drink. Hot chocolate sound good?" "That would be great," Maya said, her voice a little breathy. She wrapped the towel around her wet hair, suddenly feeling very conscious of how she looked, disheveled and dripping. The warmth of the towel was comforting, but it couldn't quite chase away the lingering chill, or the strange flutter in her stomach. Lingering feelings. The last twist of the wrench and the drip stopped. Maya ran the faucet, a solid stream now, no hiccups or rogue sprays. "All done," she announced, wiping her hands on the rag she'd brought. Mr. Mike peered over her shoulder, his reading glasses perched precariously on his nose. "Amazing. You're a lifesaver, Maya. I truly appreciate this." He straightened, a slight creak in his back. "Let me get you that payment." He disappeared into the hallway, leaving Maya standing in the quiet kitchen. The afternoon sun sliced through the window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. There was a comfortable silence, broken only by the distant chirping of birds. She found herself strangely reluctant to leave. It wasn't just the prospect of payment, a peculiar warmth had settled in her chest. Mr. Mike hadn't been condescending or creepy, like some of the other homeowners she'd encountered. He'd treated her with genuine respect and something more, something kind. He returned, holding out a crisp $20 bill. "Please take it. You earned it." Maya hesitated. "Thanks. But honestly, it was a quick fix." She took the bill, folding it neatly in her pocket. "So, back to your book," she asked, gesturing towards the worn copy of Moby Dick still open on the kitchen table. Mr. Mike smiled, a network of fine lines crinkling around his eyes. "Actually, I was just about to make some tea. Would you care to join me? I've got some Earl Grey that's quite exceptional." "Tea?" She wasn't a tea person, really, more of a coffee addict, but the invitation, the way he looked at her, made her say, "Sure. That sounds nice." He beamed, his entire face lighting up. He moved to the kettle, filling it with water. "So tell me, Maya, what are you reading these days? Anything exciting?" She shrugged, leaning against the counter. "Mostly textbooks. Trying to get through this economics class. It's a killer." "Ah, economics. The dismal science," he chuckled, placing 2 mugs on the counter. "But also, endlessly fascinating. Did you know that?" He launched into a brief but captivating explanation of supply and demand, using examples from the local farmers' market. Maya listened, captivated not just by the information, but by his passion. He spoke with such enthusiasm, his eyes sparkling. He was more than just a lonely old man with a leaky faucet. He was interesting. The kettle whistled, breaking the spell. As he poured the steaming water, their hands brushed. A jolt, subtle but undeniable, shot through her. She pulled back slightly, her heart suddenly hammering. This was getting complicated. She was supposed to fix a sink, get paid and leave. Not linger. Not feel this strange, confusing pull. The neighborhood gossip. The wrench slipped, clanging against the rusty pipes under Mr. Thompson's sink. Maya winced, then quickly righted it. "Almost got it," she muttered, tightening the fitting. The dripping had slowed to a pathetic, rhythmic plink. Just as she declared victory, a bright floral scent invaded the small kitchen. Mrs. Gable, her silver hair perfectly coiffed, stood in the doorway, a Tupperware container clutched in her hands. Mike, dear, I brought you some of my prize-winning zucchini bread. Oh. Maya, you're here. How lovely. Maya pushed herself up, her cheeks flushing. She hadn't expected company. Hi, Mrs. Gable. Just finishing up. Mr. Thompson beamed. Eleanor, that's so kind of you. Come in, come in. Maya just saved me from a watery grave. He gestured towards the repaired sink, a genuine smile crinkling the corners of his eyes. Mrs. Gable placed the bread on the counter with a decisive thud. Her gaze lingered on Maya, then flicked to Mr. Thompson, a knowing glint in her eyes. Well, isn't this nice? You two seem to be spending quite a bit of time together lately. Maya felt her blush deepen. I just helped him fix the sink. I told him I'd do small repairs. She avoided Mr. Thompson's gaze, suddenly intensely aware of the smudge of grime on her cheek. Indeed, Mrs. Gable said, her voice laced with a playful, yet pointed, tone. Mike always was a bit helpless around the house. Good thing he has such a capable neighbor. She paused, letting the implication hang in the air like the scent of her perfume. Mr. Thompson chuckled, seemingly oblivious. I am indeed fortunate. Maya has a knack for these things. Much better than my attempts, I assure you. He reached for the zucchini bread, slicing off a thick piece. Have some, Maya. It's delicious. Maya politely declined, her appetite vanishing. Mrs. Gable's remark had planted a seed of self-consciousness, making her acutely aware of the potential misinterpretation of her actions. Was she being naive? Were people talking? Well, I should be going, Maya said, grabbing her toolbox. Sink seems good as new. Let me know if anything else needs fixing. She offered a quick, awkward smile. Thank you again, Maya, Mr. Thompson said sincerely. I really appreciate it. As Maya hurried out the door, she could feel Mrs. Gable's eyes on her back. The warmth in her face wasn't just from exertion anymore. It was a confusing mix of embarrassment and something else she couldn't quite name. The casual ease she'd felt around Mr. Thompson just moments ago had evaporated, replaced by an unsettling uncertainty. She quickened her pace, eager to escape the confines of his house, and the weight of Mrs. Gable's unspoken words. Distance and a book. Maya attacked the weedy patch fronting her building. The sun was a heavy blanket, each bead of sweat a tiny rebellion as it traced a path down her spine, yet she persisted, wrestling crabgrass from the parched earth with unnecessary force. Anything was preferable to facing the unease that had burrowed deep. The sink incident was 3 days past. 3 days since Mr. Mike's innocent touch had sent a tremor through her. 3 days since she'd bolted from his apartment, a confused kaleidoscope of feelings swirling within. She couldn't decipher the current pulling her towards him, the disquieting electricity that crackled whenever he was near. He was simply a neighbor, a kind, solitary older man needing a hand with a leaky pipe. That was the logical explanation. Logic demanded avoidance. She detoured blocks to reach the laundromat, feigned blindness when he pruned his roses, even shrank behind her curtains as he passed. Each calculated evasion added a fresh layer to the burden of guilt weighing her down. He'd noticed, she saw it in the subtle droop of his shoulders when he spied her across the street, in the flash of wistfulness he quickly banished behind a polite gesture. It painted her as heartless. As twilight bled across the sky in shades of plum and apricot, she finally surrendered to the indoors, hands dirt-stained, back protesting, conscience a relentless prosecutor. Shedding her worn shoes, she drifted to the window, her gaze drawn to Mr. Mike's home. His porch lamp spilled a golden pool onto the fragrant jasmine climbing his doorway. He sat on the swing, a book resting unread in his hands, his gaze fixed on her building. She recoiled from the window, her pulse a frantic drumbeat. An abrupt, urgent need seized her to run over, to apologize, to somehow articulate the turmoil, but the words remained trapped. Later, after a solitary dinner of instant noodles, a gentle rapping echoed in the confined space of her apartment. Hesitantly, she swung open the door. The hallway was empty, save for a small package, neatly presented on her doorstep. She retrieved it. A book bound with unassuming twine. A small, folded note was tucked beneath the string. Her fingers trembled as she untied it, unfolded the paper. In precise lettering, it read, "Maya, I've noticed you've been occupied. Thought you might find enjoyment in this. It's a personal favorite. No obligation, just thinking of you. Mike." She examined the book. 100 Years of Solitude, by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. The cover bore the gentle patina of age. Opening it, a delicate aroma of aged paper and vanilla wafted up. On the opening page, he had inscribed, "To Maya, may this book transport you to another realm. Perhaps we could discuss it sometime." Mike. A surge of emotion swamped her: relief, remorse, and something akin to nascent hope. Clutching the book close, his words resonated. The distance she had so meticulously built suddenly felt vast and desolate, and she questioned the wisdom of her choices. Grandma's wisdom. Tucked between the armchair's worn cushions, the poetry book felt like a secret handshake. Its aged pages whispered of wood smoke and forgotten lands, a counterpoint to the scent of dust and lemon polish clinging to the room. As Maya turned the brittle leaves, certain verses leaped into sharp focus, echoing the low thrum of uncertainty within her. "The world will dictate, silence illuminates," one declared, a stark challenge to the clamor in her head, the pressure for a sensible career, the nervous tremor ignited by Mike's presence. Later, she discovered Abuela Elena on the porch swing, a wordless tune escaping her lips as she shelled peas. The garden's aroma, rich soil, and heady jasmine enveloped them. "Abuela," Maya began, settling beside her, "I'm lost." A soft chuckle crinkled the skin around Elena's eyes. "Ah, to be 19. The universe offers no instruction manual, Mija." She extended the bowl. "Lend an old woman a hand." Maya accepted it, the cool, smooth pods settling in her palm like worry stones. She spoke of Mike, the unexpected bond, the echoing verse. "Everyone insists on college applications, office jobs, normality. They don't understand." Elena paused, her gaze drifting into the twilight. "Normality is a gilded cage, Nina. I rattled around inside one for far too long." She resumed shelling, her movements slower, more deliberate. "Society writes a story about your age, but it isn't gospel. There's more life humming in my veins now than when I was 30, even if my knees sing a little louder. But Mike is so much older. And what of it?" A flicker of challenge lit Elena's gaze. "Does he treat you well? Does he truly see you? Does his laughter fill a room?" Maya pictured Mike's quiet attentiveness, his willingness to listen, the books he shared, the mischievous spark in his eyes when he spoke of his shelved dream of circumnavigating the globe. "Yes," she whispered. "Then," Elena said, enclosing Maya's hand in hers, her skin like parchment but her grip firm, "listen to your own heart. Not the world's petty gossip." She squeezed, offering silent encouragement. A number on a birthday cake is just that. A genuine connection is a rare jewel. Don't let fear cloud your vision. The jasmine's perfume intensified as dusk deepened, an intoxicating testament to the beauty that can flourish even in the shadows. Game night revelation. "So," Maya said, leaning against Mr. Mike's slightly ajar doorway, the scent of old books and lemon polish wafting out, "I was thinking of having a game night this Saturday. Low key. Maybe order some pizza. You in?" Mr. Mike blinked, a smile slowly spreading across his face. "A game night? That sounds delightful, Maya. I haven't played a good board game in ages." He hesitated, then added, "What kind of games did you have in mind?" "Oh, the usual suspects," Maya shrugged, trying to sound nonchalant, though her heart did a little flutter at his obvious enthusiasm. "Monopoly, Scrabble, maybe even a little Cards Against Humanity if we're feeling scandalous." He chuckled. "Scandalous, eh? Well, I wouldn't want to miss that." Saturday evening arrived, bringing with it the aroma of pepperoni and melted cheese. The air in Mr. Mike's living room crackled with a nervous energy, a feeling Maya wasn't entirely sure how to categorize. They started with monopoly, the familiar properties and cutthroat deals quickly dissolving any lingering awkwardness. Mr. Mike, surprisingly, played with a ruthless efficiency, buying up railroads and hotels with a gleeful look in his eyes. Maya countered with shrewd negotiations, narrowly avoiding bankruptcy several times. Laughter filled the room, punctuated by the clatter of dice and the rustle of play money. Later, as they battled over Scrabble, Mr. Mike carefully arranged his tiles. Axiomatic, he announced, laying the word across a triple-word score. For 27 points. Maya groaned, examining the board. Show off, she teased, but her smile was genuine. Seriously, where do you learn all these words? He tapped his temple. A lifetime of reading, my dear Maya. A lifetime of reading. He paused, his gaze softening. And a lifetime of, well, a lifetime of not much else, sometimes. The playful atmosphere shifted, replaced by a quiet sincerity. Maya met his eyes, recognizing the hint of loneliness in their depths. That's not true, she said softly. You're a good neighbor, Mr. Mike. And a good friend. He looked down at his hands, a faint blush rising on his cheeks. Maya, he began, his voice hesitant, I've enjoyed our conversations immensely. More than I can express, really. You've brought a spark back into my life. He looked up again, his eyes searching hers. I feel a connection with you, a kinship that I haven't felt in a very long time. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She felt a warmth spreading through her, a feeling that echoed the words he was saying. Me too, Mr. Mike, she whispered. Me too. He reached across the table, his hand covering hers. His touch was warm and gentle, sending a shiver down her spine. I know this is unconventional, he said, his voice barely audible. And I don't want to presume anything. But I feel something real between us, Maya. Something special. Maya squeezed his hand, her heart pounding in her chest. I feel it too, Mike. The use of his first name felt like a threshold crossed, a silent acknowledgement of the unspoken feelings that had been simmering between them. The Scrabble tiles lay forgotten, the remnants of pizza growing cold. In the quiet intimacy of the moment, a new game was just beginning. A friendship blossoms. The chipped mug warmed Maya's hands as she watched Mr. Mike pace by the window. The afternoon light painted the dust motes dancing in the air, turning them into miniature galaxies. He stopped, turning to face her, his brow furrowed with a sincerity that made her stomach flip. Maya, he began, his voice a low rumble, I've been doing a lot of thinking since you fixed the sink. And I have to admit, I enjoy your company immensely. You're refreshing. He gestured vaguely with his hand, searching for the right words. You see things differently and, well, you make me laugh. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. She hadn't expected him to be so forthright. I feel the same way, Mr. Mike. It's surprising, but I feel a connection. A real one. She took a tentative sip of the tea, the Earl Grey suddenly bitter on her tongue. He sat down heavily in the armchair opposite her, the springs groaning in protest. Surprising is an understatement. People will talk, you know. They won't understand. The worry etched on his face was palpable. Maya set down her mug, the ceramic clinking softly against the wooden table. Let them talk. What do they know? They don't know about the hours we spent discussing Steinbeck, or the way you helped me understand the intricacies of that carburetor. She paused, drawing a deep breath. They don't know about the genuine laughter we share. Mr. Mike's gaze softened. You're right. They don't. He leaned forward, his eyes sparkling with a newfound determination. So what do we do? Do we let their small-mindedness dictate our lives? She stood up, her shadow stretching long across the room. No. Absolutely not. I'm not going to pretend I don't enjoy spending time with you, just because it doesn't fit into their little boxes. If you're willing, I'd like to continue being your friend, Mr. Mike. Judgment be damned. A slow smile spread across his face, erasing years from his features. Please, Maya, call me Mike. He stood as well, extending his hand. His grip was firm, warm. And yes, I'd like that very much. The air in the room seemed to crackle with a shared defiance, a silent promise to navigate the complexities of their unconventional friendship together. Maya squeezed his hand, a surge of exhilaration coursing through her veins. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of hope blossoming within her. They would face the whispers and the stares, but they would do it together, bound by a connection that defied age and expectations.